pronounce Isa's name like that. Your host like that because it sounds so like fucking formal. Okay, wait, hello? Be like, welcome to the What We Don't Know podcast with your hosts, Ollie Evely and Lisa Sabah.
Isa,
Ollie.
what we don't know.
That worked out pretty well.
Okay. That was easier than I expected. I was worried.
You were trying to sync up.
Oh, I was so stressed. I was just like, oh, it's recording.
All right, go on. Where would you like to go in the world that one, you haven't been, well, it has to be you haven't been, and one of those hard, difficult places to get to that it wasn't a 48-hour trip that you'd go to, and number one on the list.
Literally, you're asking me, where would you like to go that you haven't been before? Or does it have to be difficult to get to?
The problem with the difficult to get to ones
Wait,
is that some of them like you see them on Google Flights and you're like 40 hours. Yeah, can't be that great.
No, but see, I
like
don't...
no time limit. You get to go there. 0 time.
It's so interesting. I was gonna ask what's important about your question, because for me, the time it takes to get somewhere, maybe I just haven't traveled enough. It doesn't really matter. Fine.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna say, okay, I get you. If you're gonna say it takes 60 hours to get somewhere, you gotta really want to go there.
But some of them, like New Zealand, it looks awesome, but hell no, I'm not taking that flight.
Are you joking?
It's long.
New Zealand's definitely worth it.
Yeah, but you haven't been, right?
No.
Okay, so like those places, Hawaii, the Amazon jungle.
Oh my God, those are also worth it.
Yeah, but you haven't been to Hawaii, right?
Yeah,
so it's not been worth it, really.
No, but I mean, like, I would. Okay, I see. What
You've
you're
been to the
saying.
Maldives. You haven't been to Hawaii.
Where's farthest I've been to is Europe, I think, right?
That's not that
Or is
long.
it the Philippines?
About the same. I think Philippines is longer from here, from Dubai.
Traveling's cool, but I would never say I'm a world traveler.
No, you're not.
Fuck no. Could I?
You're allowed to. We're on explicit constantly.
Oh wait. Okay, but seriously, I can go anywhere I haven't been before, and travel time is not an issue. Japan.
Really? You haven't been to Japan either, yes?
Yet, yeah. But
Yeah.
if I had to choose one place.
Isn't it funny? Like,
can I choose? Basically, I would teleport to the top of the Himalayas. 100%.
Why Himalayas? You can go there, right?
Yeah, but like
They do a race through the Himalayas.
on bikes.
Yeah. Raid du Himalaya or something.
That's insane.
Yeah, apparently it's pretty crazy, like all minus however much, and yeah, it's pretty insane.
How about you?
Not too bad.
No. How about you? Where would
How
you?
about, they said, how are you? I thought you did. That's something you do this. So it's this is going to sound out of place in the episode, but completely normal for real life Ollie and Isa. Well, you stopped doing that, actually.
Yeah, I've been growing up.
Did you do it to take the piss? Because it was normally like we hung out for 3
No,
hours, and then you asked, how are you, by the way?
Because I
That was a phase.
I might do it again. You never know. No, but I generally really do care about how you're doing.
So it's it's funny though.
So 3 hours in, I'm like, how are you?
You did that for like a long time, for like 2 years. That was a thing that you focused on doing. Do you think? Here's my interpretation of it. If you ask, "Hey, how are you?" It's not actually how are you. It's just, "Hey." Really, no one's like, "Oh, actually, I'm really down right now." But if you wait an hour
Then
and ask, "How are you?" It's actually, "How are you doing?" Actually, like it's the core.
It is the question.
Yeah, is that why or not?
Yeah, I mean, for a while, I thought it was appropriate to ask acquaintances, and they don't have to be people you know really well, if they're happy.
Really?
I thought that was an okay question. I'm only realizing now that it's quite personal to ask someone if they're happy.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Yeah. You have quite a few of those though, little things you're like,
So
is that a
many.
weird thing? But what if someone asked you that, it would be normal?
Yeah, I'd love to answer it.
But you wouldn't be like caught off guard.
I would only be caught off guard because not many people ask me it.
Yeah.
Not enough. No, it also depends on the way people ask. Sometimes it feels like people ask out of curiosity, but it feels like sometimes less about curiosity and more about judging. It's not about understanding. It feels like sometimes people ask personal questions, not to understand.
You mean in general, not that not are you happy? You mean it
Like,
like
no,
in general, personal questions.
yeah, in general, yeah, exactly. In general, personal questions by most people, for me, feel like
Nosy.
it feels like there's an agenda.
Hmm.
But I wonder if that's me and not them.
I think it's
wonder.
probably them most
Yeah.
of the time. Like, as I straight away, I thought
'Cause
just
some
then, I thought most things come with an agenda, like across the board. The personal question things specific, but if you like zoom out, most things that people do, I think, don't do genuinely. Like everyone's always thinking, "Oh, I'll do this," and there's a trade-off for
There's
this.
an ulterior motive.
Yeah, not. Yeah, I guess.
You know, I honestly can't doubt that. I think I agree. I think in general, I agree. But I don't think it's always conscious. I don't think, after a while, I feel like the people absorb that idea. And it's not like, I'm going to go say good morning because they're my boss. And if I say good morning to them, they're going to like me over time and think I'm friendly. Like, it feels like that kind of programming, that whole thing, that script is built in. Not automatically, but over time it's developed.
The weirdest one is where people wear it on their sleeve. Like they openly are like doing things to benefit, like consciously doing it is a weird one, I think.
I think that's a psychopath. Like literally, I think that's like a sociopath. Sorry, someone who, I don't know, but basically, yeah, no, a psychopath can do that. Psychopath can consciously act, and you'll just be like, what is? You'll feel something's off, but you won't. You'll think that like they have a reason for doing it. I don't know what I'm saying.
But like to go in, like, because it's like I've been thinking about it in different ways. Like you can go do it at work, and like actively go and try and screw people over to, you know.
Oh, some people, I did a career development or career test type thing to see like what would be potential career options. Out of curiosity, out of fun. There's a really nice one online called careerchoice.com, I think.
Like basically the ones you did at the end of school. Like,
Yeah, but-
here's your job.
Yeah, but the new ones are very nuanced. They have algorithms and they ask you questions more than just job placement. It's more like job satisfaction and pay and expectations and everything.
I never thought too much about, like, I never
I
gave them
think,
too much weight.
I feel like there's nothing to lose from trying, and I feel like,
So what was your outcome?
oh, no, what I noticed there, they were really asking questions like, have you ever screwed someone, have you ever intentionally screwed someone else's options or choices so you could get ahead? And I was just looking at that thing and I was just like, I wrote strongly disagree or no. But I'm sure someone must have been yes or strongly yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like people that would do anything to get
And
money or whatever.
Who wouldn't mind admitting that into a test so that they could be placed in a position that would give them
Yeah,
something? That's the trippy part of all of
Yeah.
it for me. It's like a bit of a head fuck.
What kind of job are they thinking?
Who
Lawyer?
knows?
or
No. Who
something?
knows what's gonna end up there? But
Less like jobs with less remorse, basically.
yeah, maybe like surgeon, I would say,
Really? Well, yeah. I
because
guess.
they would have to be competitive to make the hard choices to save someone's life. I don't know, something like that. I could-
Strange though that they put that in there.
But interesting at the same time. Like,
It's more like like if you had, for example, let me paint you a picture. If you had
hope it's pretty.
the real life version of that test, right? Like there used to be,
Someone comes in and interviews you.
yeah, but if you think about it, well, like say that's an example of it, and they really ask the questions that are relevant to place you in a job, because the old ones, like you said, they've got more relevant, or they're more like accurate now. Like they ask you questions that are more hard hitting that would actually place you probably better in a job.
Yeah.
I imagine the most raw version of that, and the questions that they would ask for, like really, I guess yours is quite similar, but like even the most extreme extent to it, like
What would that
where
be
you have
like?
to be completely truthful, and they actually ask the real questions that apply to.
What would it be like? How does
I
it
suppose your one was
imagine?
your one was already pretty extreme, but it would like, you know.
They ask stuff. They ask stuff like, how comfortable are you with working long hours for jobs that don't have any meaning?
The other difficult
Who
part
would
is,
say, yeah, I'm comfortable with that?
well, that's the thing. That's the thing I was going to say, is that you have to be like truthful in yourself of what you're going to put on, which is the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Which I think, like, across the board, that's really difficult. We've talked about this quite a bit. Like,
I was staring at a question, I kid you not, for like 4 minutes, trying to wrap my head around it. It said, and I'll try to get the exact phrasing as much as I can remember. Have you ever felt that you were punished without cause?
you thought it specifically in work, or you think in general after that?
I was what? No, I think it meant in every
Oh,
way.
okay.
Have you ever felt that you were punished?
Oh, it's not specifically for work.
Yeah, it's all of this. I think is not. I didn't answer as
Yeah.
if it was specific for work.
But it's fun. Like, some of the tests I took one of these. Like, I think for the first time ever, I took one of these bullshit Facebook tests the other day.
I love them. I love
Like,
those
know your
personality
IQ.
tests.
Are you? What animal are you?
What animal did you get?
I don't think it was an animal. It was like some bullshit one. It was
What
like,
animal would you get? I think you would like to
I
get
usually-
wolf, but you would get like turtle.
Yeah, I get like badger.
Badge. Oh.
What's the thing? Skunk that just lets out horrible
How-
farts.
How well versed are you with the Harry Potter houses? Like, do you know their names, their
I get-
colors, their qualities?
Why? Where did this go? I'll say that.
Hufflepuff is like a badger or a skunk.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, can I jump back for a
Of
sec?
course. Always jump
Where do
back.
you think so? When you said what animal would you be, I thought that you were meaning like what spirit animal
Yeah.
would you be? Which is basically what you're asking.
Yeah,
right?
kind of.
So at one point, like what for me, the whole spirit animal thing, like I had a idea kind of, I suppose, like an experience once where I would like imagine myself as an animal or whatever.
What is this right now, Ollie? What are you even? What
At
are you
one point
even?
I played
what
it
are
out. I
you
played it
even-
out. I'll explain.
you,
I'll explain.
You role played as an animal.
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay,
Not really.
okay.
That's
I'm
way,
gonna shut up.
the way
I
you
need
described
to
that was way off.
Understand
No.
everything.
No. Okay, I'll explain. I see that we've taken a big jump here, but I'll explain everything.
Okay. How old were you?
24, probably.
Okay.
3, 4. And I was trying to I'll play this out. I'll see what the meaning of like the spirit animal thing is, right?
Holy shit! I can't.
So
do
no,
it.
because you hear like, oh, my spirit animal is this, right? Or whatever. Like you hear that a lot. I was like, what? Try to like
Understand.
imagine what extreme version of it they get from that. So I was like,
Go on.
is it by looks or like your personality? They think like you have a relation.
Go on.
That's pretty much what.
What? No.
No.
There's
okay,
more to this.
I
For sure.
there's not really like I wanted to play out to see what they meant by the spirit animal.
So you asked quite a few people what they meant.
Not even asking. I was like
Imagining.
imagining, like
W-
if you
what
were
did
a
you-
spirit animal,
what
what
did
would
you-
you be?
what did
What
you-
would like what would make up a spirit animal for you or whatever? What is their idea about what makes up a spirit animal?
It is.
I think just
interesting.
visual features.
No, I don't. Do you know did you know that this is probably done way back? I might be making this up, but I think since the ancient Greek times and more, it was developed even a bit more in like the late 1800s. There was something called physiognomy, I think, and basically they would compare physical features to animals, and then that would reflect their personalities. And for a while, not only was it trending, but it had like
Trending.
for that
okay.
Victorian era trending, whatever. Like it was like not only like hashtag you look like a lion, so you must be courageous, but like it was actually scientifically supported and so on. Like
Really?
not actually with science, but
But,
scientists or doctors would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
But it was a big thing, like native Indians and stuff as well. I think, right? They
Yes.
had a spirit animal.
Yeah, I think I don't know much. No, because I was
It's
gonna
fine.
go.
It's what we don't know. You can.
No, I was just yeah. No, I was just gonna go into like what I do know from the side of the whole like Jungian sociology. Is it sociology when you study? No, what was it called when you study in different cultures? Herbology, which is plants. No, I don't.
Sociology.
I
No.
think it's like sociology, but like there's a nice ethnology.
I'm actually like I'm googling spirit animal right now just to be able to check on a few
No,
things.
for like shamanic tribes and so on, they link to animals properly. You
The
know.
The first thing that came up on Google. What is my spirit animal? Take the quiz to find out.
Yeah, so I woke up maybe 2 or 3 years ago from a dream, and I don't remember what animal was in the dream clearly, but I'd like to imagine it was like a panther or a leopard or a cheetah. Not a tiger, not a lion, unfortunately. But so yeah, it was like a black, maybe leopard with like startling yellow eyes or green eyes, and it was walking towards me, not scary or menacing, and was just basically like, I am cheetah, or something like that.
Or something like that.
And then I woke up like just bolt upright in my bed, and like I had like the sun was shining in my face, and I was just like, I think I just met my spirit animal. I am not kidding. This happened. So that's what a spirit animal was for me.
To be honest,
I'm serious. I was just like, it just felt like you just felt like you were on top of the world. Like it was just a nice feeling. It's not even happiness. It's like peace.
They describe it as in certain spiritual traditions or cultures, spirit animal refers to a spirit which helps guide or protect a person on a journey and whose characteristics that person shares or embodies.
Amazing.
So it's very broad, but we believe in weirder stuff than that. So.
I could see it though. Spirit animal sounds cool.
If there, if you believe,
Maybe if you pay attention tonight, you'll dream of yours.
maybe I'll look out for it. If you believe in ghosts, you should also believe in animal ghosts, right? Or not?
It's interesting. Yeah, why not?
You never.
But I mean, why not? Like, you first of all have to believe that they have souls or spirits, right? Like,
is that what a ghost is supposedly?
I guess, yeah. It's like an after image of a living creature, or
Isn't
like,
isn't it
its
supposed to be
spirit.
between here and the afterlife or something?
Yeah, I think there's just so many interpretations.
Yeah.
Just so all. I think, you know.
Do you know what's funny? It's not a weird thing to say after somebody's died, they're still with us, right? They're still with us and they're around us. They're with us now. All these kind of sayings.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like even that statement can be. There's like
misinterpreted.
Yeah, so completely.
But it's almost majority of the times said genuinely, and that's not a weird thing.
Wait, how do you say it again? What did you say?
No. When people say that, for the most part, you think of them being genuine, thinking the person's with us, looking over you.
Even as
with
a
us now.
you're not like even as a non-religious, like from a non-religious view. I mean, that most people would. Because I feel like that the world is getting more like.
No, but most people would like say that to be reassuring, I suppose, or something.
To be
but
reassuring, but you said they would say it to mean
genuinely,
it.
I think so for the most part. Don't you?
I can see that's the thing. It's difficult for me to. No, I
think-
was gonna lie and say it's difficult. I just didn't even want to think about others. No, because I was just thinking. I was thinking about it for myself.
I think so, but that's not it's never, I guess, like sensitive topic at the time, but it's never
Yeah.
like a thing thought, like never.
It's never
No,
second thought, or they
never.
straight away just go with the whole. I think they're thinking about you, or like they would be so proud of you
On
if
this
they were here. But that's actually the opposite end, right?
on this subject, what do you think happens when you die? I was hoping that you would have more of a shock reaction, but you actually were like, let me think of it.
No, it's more like I was just thinking. I was like, do I want to think about it?
You really didn't have the reaction I thought you would.
What was it? Was it gonna be? Like,
I was hoping you do your lean forward, eyes up, like, whoa.
let's pass on that, I think, for now.
Okay.
Because, or we can talk about the different kinds of theories that there are out there, which is
Okay.
insane.
Go on then.
There's so many.
I really don't know many. You can
Okay,
go into
wait,
it.
let's do this. You start with what you know, and then I'll go, and we can. Because I'm curious I'm actually curious and you have an idea of what I do know about the whole thing, but
Not really.
like an inkling at least.
To be honest,
But I don't know.
I'll be
anything-
honest about this.
I don't know
because
anything about what you know.
I would
about
say
eschatology.
is what it is.
No, that eschatology is the study of the end of times, not
Times
the end of the world. Eschatology, but what is it called? Afterlife studies. What would that be called?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna check. You go on. And tell me. You go on and tell me what you think,
Okay.
or what you
firstly,
know. What you know.
I don't know anything.
No, I mean like what, like theory wise. What do you know?
Not very much at all.
Amazing. I was right. Eschatology. Because I thought
That was such a verbal pat on the back. Unbelievable. I am amazing. Here it is. I was correct.
yeah, the part of theology concerned with death, judgment, and the final destiny of the soul. and the fu-
Eschatology.
Eschatology.
Mm.
Let's see how do they pronounce it?
Eschatology.
Oh, he's got such a nice accent.
Eschatology.
Eschatology.
Tell me what you know about
That's like
eschatology.
ghetto drop.
Yeah, eschatology.
Our drops are literally played via phone into the mic. We're too lazy to do over editing. This is a radio lab. We're not doing any kind of
Oh, nah.
after editing.
They're
This is
amazing.
raw.
They're like, if you
Um,
actually want to learn about things, random things, listen to Radiolab. Because with
Yeah.
us, all you're gonna get is some nice, I hope. Well, yeah, we are nice. Boys talking into your ear and caressing you with ASMR. No, but like literally, this is like you listen to us, and you're like driving your car.
You're saying this is to
This-
put people to sleep, basically. This is just a
yeah, it's like
This is just a blah blah project
Yeah,
cast to keep
because
people
if you-
kill
if
the
you-
time.
yeah, because if you listen to other things that take themselves seriously, you're wasting your time. You can't trust them. But with us, you can't trust us. So it's
Oh yeah,
like,
there you go.
yeah.
That's at least something we have.
Yeah,
We're
we-
like really scraping the bottles with the barrel here. Like we
Oh,
don't
no.
have much going for this at all. Like,
Oh, but at least
you can listen to stuff you know is bullshit. Feel confident that you know it's not true.
yeah. We don't pretend to sell you poo that's covered in gold. We
Mm.
sell you the poo
We
at,
just say-
at a lower price than the gold that it might come
This
with.
is just a shit podcast. Just saying.
No, oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
No, but it doesn't smell.
You're saying we're not even sugarcoating this shit.
Yeah, but listen, we're happy you're listening.
Let's go back. We're gonna.
Oh yeah,
people are gonna be
yeah,
angry.
we're-
Okay.
They're angry. They're angry that we're calling them cute
Um,
listeners.
No, this is part of negative
By the way,
feedback that we never finish. Okay, eschatology.
Go on.
Afterlife in general, I'm going to go with. I was also going to say, I'm not sure about what the specifics are for afterlife.
Specific us?
Specifics
What the
of
specifics
afterlife. Yeah.
are?
Like
okay.
what's supposed to happen or anything.
What?
Really.
No,
I just know a vague concept of an afterlife. That's one.
This is, you're saying in general, I just saw a flamingo use its head to push itself up from the water.
This is a very scenic
Yeah, it's beautiful.
studio. You have great views here.
It's amazing. No, but no. So you're telling me that you don't even know what the constituent options of an afterlife are, besides like heaven, hell.
Yeah.
Me go to one place maybe or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know
you're
what the
telling me
specific options
you don't.
could be.
Okay. So
So mine's very, very.
so
basic
literally my
knowledge.
question was to like ask you, yeah, what do
Yeah,
you?
no,
That's
not
it.
a lot. Yeah.
What?
That's
what?
it.
Surely there should be a bit more.
No. Maybe when you start bringing stuff up, I'll be like, oh yeah. no,
Okay,
I'm
fair
bad.
enough. Okay.
Otherwise, you just melt into the ground and then become worm food, and then you're regurgitated as worm food into other animals,
Yeah, but
and then
that's
you're
not.
recycled around
but
as
that's-
different.
No, okay. First of all, so but that's like, okay, that's an afterlife materially.
Yeah.
That's not an
We're
after
talking about
conscious based, spirit based. Like
Yeah.
where does the you go
Okay,
when
go.
you die? So
I'm like quite physical based with
yeah,
with my
empirical, phenomenological things by your senses, your five senses.
yeah. Like I'm quite physical based. Like when you die, for me, the you is in your brain. Like it's like a computer
neurons
CPU.
firing.
Yeah. It's like a CPU and you have a you computer. And then once, like for example, if you have brain
Biological
damage,
computer.
you would have, basically, if you have brain damage, I think there's not really much you left. Like, because your thoughts and everything and memories are so malleable anyway, then you can shift the you from time to time. What really makes up a you? If you go down to the core of it, there's not much you left over after you've layered on like thoughts and things and memories.
But that's what's interesting, right? They say, was it every 7 weeks or every 7 years? There's not one cell in your body that's from the previous 7 years.
Interesting.
If
Then where are, but because memories are stored. Yeah, but I think they're regenerated or whatever it is.
Hippocampus, right?
But it's in the same format, I think. It's like we rewiring computer softwares piece by piece, but in the same format. I think those memories and ideas and personalities and
are
different
encoded.
things, into a specific, like if you imagine, to be honest, I'm not really sure how a brain works, but I imagine it's like deep rooted. I don't think people actually know this, right? You know that you have different areas for what do different activities.
If I'm not mistaken, it's generally different centers.
Yeah, but you have a memory center, like long-term,
the hippocampus,
long-term and short-term separately. Yeah. So if people have short-term memory loss, it's damage to one of them.
Yeah, one of the areas, supposedly. But like, that's the thing.
But what do you have left over after all that?
Sorry?
What do you have left over after all that? Like, because you can split a lot of what you are made of in your brain. Like, you can say, this is short-term memory, this is long-term memory. Your personality would change if you affect different parts of your brain. But then what is, if there is an afterlife, then what is left over after you strip away all these things?
Well, okay. It's gonna sound like not an answer to what you're saying, but like, let's say there is an afterlife, right? And that like, for example, if this hypothetical person has part of their memory center damaged, or the person gets dementia. Oh, this is gonna sound so wrong. But if there's an afterlife and either they're in heaven or hell or whatever, what if they're already living the afterlife and their punishment or reward is, we just see, we get the manifestation of them having a mental disorder or
I'm not
disease.
against this, but this is...
But what I'm saying is, what if their experience... So, because like how it shifts, their perception is all that matters to them at the end of the day.
For sure.
What they experience is all that matters. So, and we can't ever...
But that's...
Or like for now...
Each individual for themselves has that same issue.
Yeah.
All you can feel or see or touch, your experience of life is through
your
senses.
Your senses, yeah.
And...
Your lens.
You can literally, like, if you're blind or deaf, you have less things to touch and be aware of, then like your experience of life is going to be different than somebody who's able to see things.
Yeah, qualitatively, like one sense less.
Yeah,
at the very least.
But that's and you can see, like, if you like,
you can see. Well, if
you're
blind,
well, no, okay.
I'm teasing.
If you're blind, that's one sense that, like, I don't think there is a thing like that for feeling, but it's like less senses of world experience. Yeah,
100%. But it's funny you say, like, if you can't feel, but I feel like many people can't really feel.
Feel.
Yeah, I feel
physically.
Physically.
But is there a thing for that or no?
Yeah.
Touching.
Oh no, not
senses.
many people. I meant emotions.
Oh. I knew you'd mention emotions. I was hoping you didn't. But
No, but let's go back to the components of hell.
so okay, so I was gonna also say when you were saying that before, I'm not against the idea, by the way, because the idea that you were going down,
Which
because
is?
I mean that they like could be living in that now or whatever. It could be but that stretch is so broad then, and I'm not against that idea because your experience is only your experience, so it could be easily
I was convinced.
deceptive.
I was convinced for the longest time. I was a kid, of course, but that convinced and almost like with a unfaltering
I think I know what
belief.
you're gonna say.
Yeah, I was so sure, and it just made sense, logical, absolute sense.
That everything's built for you.
No, no. That there's no need to be scared of death.
Oh, right.
And
That's a
that-
different turn. I was like, I'm sure I
yeah.
know what you're going to say. I thought you were going to say you have that feeling where everything around you is put on as a show for you.
No.
I still have that.
Yeah, that's just paranoia.
Mm.
No. I get
It's
no.
just a mild schizophrenia. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah,
Okay, go on.
paranoid schizophrenia. No, that it just made sense. Like if, like religion aside, if you go with the whole rationalistic, everything's atoms and we're biological machines and we evolved from the drop of life, and let's not ask the hard questions, but like, if you're matter, I guess I just didn't have enough information to really understand, because now I don't believe this at all. But it was like, if you're just matter, and the electricity or the spark of life in you that keeps you running as biological material or whatever, when it blows out and your heart stops pumping and your brain stops running, then the thing that experiences the world is snuffed out.
I don't think so.
And no, I mean, that's what I thought, because
Okay.
like if you're dreaming, like, or when you're asleep, yeah, you have your dreams when you're asleep, but it doesn't feel like you're always dreaming.
Yeah,
but that's what's trippy is what if.
these are like egotistical ways of looking at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not, I don't think like, if you go that direction more even, then I think it's not like we put too much value on ourselves.
But that was just ignorance.
Mm.
More than now, I mean, at least. for
Because
me.
if that is the case, and that is like the energy that you have of life is ingrained into your biological self, right?
Which is what you subscribe to at the moment.
To
I would
some
assume.
extent, I'll go into that. I like to some extent, but I have some other thoughts. I'll go into that afterwards. The idea of like you dying, shut down, then getting eaten by worms, your worm food, and then go into other stuff. That's not. It's a breakdown of a person, but the energy of people. That person's moved on to something else, I think.
Wait, I didn't follow you.
Like you're saying that the spark is out when you die, basically. When you were a kid, you thought this, and that energy or the electricity of life is vanished, right?
Well, we all know
Of an Isa or of a person.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But,
you're not.
but that same energy is
That's
is
the spirit.
used.
There's like not. My view didn't have spirituality or soul. It didn't account for any of it because.
But they're just words almost. Like the spirituality of things there's so much weight behind that we take for granted. Like if you get eaten when you're dead, that DNA that you have in your body or the things that you're made up of will be transferred down the food chain into the earth and used and for other things. Like
I get what you're saying, but
and we know still so little about it, really. Like the thing is, this is the point we're at for me. We're confident at the moment, and we're like on top of the world that we figured all this stuff out in the past.
or we have good
years.
ideas, very good ideas.
Yeah, we have good ideas, and look how stupid we were that we thought the world was flat. Right? In 2019, and then we're like, we think we're far advanced now, but for me, we're like, not even scratched the surface.
It's not impossible to think that the basic constituents of life are not DNA. For example, let's say they find out that DNA is one main constituent that determines genetic material, but what if for example, they still can't categorize. They don't categorize. They don't know to not they don't know, but virus is like neither a life form nor inorganic material. For example.
Yeah, But
which is
okay, it gets
funny.
crazy in that. We're down to, like, we talk about,
There's such weird things.
like, for us, splitting an atom is huge difficulty. And the way we do
huge.
it is human-like. We send atoms towards each other to fucking bash the shit out of each other until we could break one. We're not even close to the point where we can
Controlling
go
it
down to
and
that
actually
level.
slice it.
Because,
or
like,
whatever.
that's nano level, right? Or whatever it is, like atomic
Not-
level.
not-
Atomic level.
Yeah.
And
atomic
what-
is smaller than nano.
So when you go down to that level, that we really, I don't, I'm just guessing, but I assume, and I'm pretty sure
we're
we
both
don't
just
have,
guessing.
but we don't have much idea about that. Like, there's not atomic microscopes that you can look into and see what's past that or anything, right? Because what if it could be like with
Well, they have electron microscopes, right? Which image through
because I'm,
hitting the material with electrons. But
But I
like
rem-
that doesn't mean they're looking at the electrons.
or inside it, like how
No, they're not. No.
Because this is a weird thought. We're not very far, like, from, like, we look at everything from our size. We're this big and atoms that small. But an atom, or what an atom is made up of, could be infinitely small, couldn't it? There could be no end to what goes into an atom. Why?
100%. 100%. That's why it becomes theoretical physics, right?
Mhm. Because then you go down to the point where you're inside the atom. Let me paint you a picture from inside the atom bubble at the moment.
Go on.
That's your new
How
perspective.
much do you know about theories of what goes on at the quantum level?
As much as I'm talking about now. Not anything, really. Not a whole lot.
Apparently, at the smallest, like some of the smallest parts, and this is just one theory, it's all just probability
Mm.
waves. And
Oh,
so
this is the same as a big level, though, isn't it?
huh?
It's the same as a big level.
What do you mean?
Just actions and probability of things happening.
Yeah, that's why it's amazing because it's yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, the almost classical idea of an atom with its electrons around it, right? You've got the
Mm-hmm.
proton and the neutron in the middle, which is a big dot, which has the most mass, and then you have a little circle around it, which is the electron.
Mm-hmm.
And so the previous model is the center area, nucleus,
Yeah.
with the electrons orbiting around it in a circle, like a planet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is working. At the moment, I think what they have is a working model. Like this is more or less hasn't been disproven yet. Is the electrons, and I think it's almost sure, is that the electrons don't orbit like a satellite, like a moon around the center, but they're they're in concentric probability shells, and they pop in and out of existence in set
Oh, that's what they were
areas.
talking about.
I think no,
No,
but I
but
think
not electrons doing that.
I think no, these are electrons. I think the electrons work that way. I think at the moment, I think that's like the working model. And then when they go even smaller, or whatever, then So yeah, I think that's it. I think literally, and what's difficult about is when they observe it, it's not doing that popping in and out.
Yeah.
But
the theories are very...
yeah, that's what I say, and that's why they always said like, I think was it Richard Feynman who said if you don't think quantum mechanics is strange, then you don't really understand it, or something like that.
But the way, like now, I've just had a quick Google. I'm no closer to it, but they have...
They're the most interesting,
they-
one of the most interesting things to study, I think. Like just
very.
even at a casual level.
But there's no end, like there's no... It's one of those things that we like actually don't know, so it's really interesting. Like you never know what's on the other side of it. Like how we have, to be fair, come pretty far, but we're still like
yeah,
we're not
we're
even
just starting. It's all just starting.
Yeah,
It's all just
yeah.
beginning.
And we're
That's why-
very like confident. We're like, oh yeah, we figure, like we're almost smug about it. Look how good we're doing.
It's so important that we sort our differences out and we stop killing each other and we start fixing healthcare and so on. If we want to advance fast, and the world needs more philosophy, more psychology, it needs all of these humanity stuff, and less like killing, like less like active war defense stuff. And I know people will say, oh, that's idealistic because you have people who are going to try to destroy your country and so on.
Can I jump back?
You weren't listening at all.
I was.
I'm so offended.
I was.
Go on.
You were right. You'd be happy to know.
That's good.
The,
I like being right.
I just lost it. What was it called? Electron microscope. That's the newest.
That's
updated one.
yeah.
It can take images of objects 1 million times smaller than a human hair.
Nice.
Nice. But there's still stuff beneath that, I suppose.
Yeah,
so.
but that's the thing. It's hard to image something smaller or as small as the sensor you're trying to image, if that makes any sense. So like at a certain point, it's not enough to capture the photons that represent an image. So example, like when a photograph is taken of this, the light that hits, or like of the scenery or whatever, the light that hits the digital sensors or the photographic film is what's encoded. What are you going to encode onto that's going to hold an image of an atom or
it's like no better than an eye.
Yeah,
basically.
an atom. It's like it takes another atom to look at the atom, basically. And how are you going to program that atom to zoom what it's seeing? The sensor itself,
but how do they see it? I mean, it's just at that point, it's digital imaging or not?
Yeah. So I think how they've, you're saying how do they know, or how do they get models?
What is the image of then? Is it an image? They call it an image of a object 1 million times smaller than a human hair. But what is the...
No, the reason it's called an electron microscope is because it uses electrons to create a microscopic image of something else. It's not a microscope for electrons. It's a microscope that uses electrons. Yeah.
But it takes an actual image. It is an image you're receiving or not?
I get what you're saying. If I'm not mistaken, it's a digital representation using electrons. Because if you look at it, it's like black and white images, first of all, and they and the resolution is almost weirdly always super organic looking. So it might be. I'm curious.
Very photoshopped. Almost,
oh no!
Looks like.
See, that's different than the one I know.
So, I was going to ask another strange question.
Very, very interesting.
Would you were quite interested at the time about the...
I might be mistaken. An electron microscope is definitely... I think
photograph.
No, I don't think it's definite. I think it's the other.
Digital.
I think it's digital.
Digital concept. Because that's where things get a bit weird, because there's a lot of digital renditions of what things are supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Like astronomy, yeah.
But astronomy happens a lot. So I was going to... the picture that they had of the black hole, that was a picture, right? That was a physical camera
If I'm not mistaken, that's actual image, but it's a composite of it's multiple
photos.
I think it's multiple things, but that's like what it would look like through the gas, through the everything, but it's a bit enhanced.
But it is digitally
enhanced.
Okay, but it is a photo, or
I think it's a photo.
Did I showed you that
insane
gigapixels of Andromeda, right?
I think so. I remember
that was a cool
I remember
video.
that. Yeah, I do remember. It is. There's no denying that that's a cool.
Yeah, I know that
cool.
you don't want to like it as well,
because the video wasn't made well.
It was made well enough. I
remember
the emphasis on the where it comes out of at the end was insane. I
Look
think.
at this scary looking feline.
Yeah, I think it's as good as you can make a video of a photo.
I'm trying to remember what my problem with this. But could you explain what this image was?
It was basically
a
super, I can't even explain how high resolution. But it was unbelievably high resolution. It is resolution at that point, right? That takes photos of that distance.
Yeah, it is resolution.
It's resolution still, yeah. So it was like some insane weight of file. And they took a photo zooming in on a portion of the sky in the photo with billions of stars in it, and then they zoom in again and again, and then scan it, zoom in further and further, and then zoom out, and you see the whole picture at the end. And you see almost the most amazing thing about it was the resolution, the resolution of the photo
Mm.
as much as what you see. What you see in it is also mind blowing, but the photo resolution is also just like that's shows as well. Like we've come a long way, I suppose, that kind of thing. But that's so much more than what we have. What about the point where we can take photos that high resolution on your phone?
It won't be far with it. It won't be.
It can't be. It'll be
It won't
within
be far.
100 years easily.
Less.
Yeah,
Super less.
super less.
Super less because storage is gonna be cloud based. I'm not worried about storage. 5G is already insanely quick. A gigapixel.
They brought it out here, by the way. Well, maybe
Yeah.
the gimmick of it or the real
Yeah,
one.
I think the networks are here. Yeah,
Really?
I think I don't. Yeah, I think the networks are here.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, we never. Let's go back to the health thing. We'd like to the afterlife topic. What do you think?
I've got one before that. We'll
Go
go.
on.
We'll track backwards down the episode.
Can you
one
do it?
before
That's
that.
nice. I can't.
We're going.
I
up
can't
the
remember.
episode and back down.
I can't remember.
There's one
anything.
I had. Hold on to that. There's one other one I had that I wanted to ask you about. Very quickly brush over it. Would you rather? Because I remember the black hole thing. You were into
Yeah, I think it's
or
my
into
wallpaper.
making a wallpaper about it more than anything.
What? That's mean.
So, but you were kind of into it. I thought it was
I changed that recently.
it's just black. That's cool.
It's just it's in the
That
black
is
hole.
the black hole.
Yeah.
You zoomed in.
Yeah.
You were kind of into that. Would you rather something came out like the black hole was a big one to get an image of that? Would you rather that on the large scale or the atomic level? Like imagine like they found actual photos of something.
If we
Like what would excite you more?
atomic level, if we crack, well, atomic's wrong because I feel like atomic level we've understood things.
I don't think.
Atomic level is, I was gonna say Einstein. Yeah, Einstein, Newton. We've got atomic on lock.
That's the level you said that we're not sure whether things are electrons are
That's
popping in and
quantum.
out.
That's quantum.
So what, atomics?
Atomic is molecules. Atoms make molecules. Periodic table. That's like, this is the basics. That is the basis of human life so far.
But is that not protons and neutrons make a certain amount making up a molecule?
Protons, neutrons, electrons make an atom.
Yeah.
So at the atomic level, I think at the atomic level, things are really strong science.
Should we not know? We should know the periodic table.
We can do this.
Not know it elements, but what makes up? So what makes up an element on the periodic table?
An element is a stable element.
But
like,
what? So what amount of? Because there's like 32 this, 42 that.
um,
They're made up of different elements to make different.
No, they if I'm not mistaken, they're determined by the number of electrons. No, the number of neutrons, protons, something. But
the funny thing about this is this is difficult for us to either remember or figure out. But this is like stuff you learn early on in school.
Yeah, it's like basic. It's basic, but like basically they're organized according to the number of electrons in their shells, I think. Like like the noble gases are 8 elements, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which have. I have no idea. I'm spouting like keywords I remember from chemistry.
It's
some
the
stable valence
atomic
numbers.
number to the electron configuration,
What? Say it again.
arranged by atomic number, electron configuration, and recurring chemical properties.
Cool. Like metals are grouped in order next to like gases and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And
But
then
why? What makes them up though?
go on.
No,
What do you mean?
asking.
No, so it's like basically the whole.
You
the whole-
forgot this, right? From
I
school.
honestly I think I have a good understanding of the basics. Like I can't remember how they're structured on the chemistry table, but literally reading a sentence of it will remind me. And so what makes an element is its stable bonds to each other. So, like, for example, like, I don't remember which element was the prevalent element in the universe
But I think
during the Big Bang.
is it not like the amount of protons and neutrons, the amount of them inside the atom makes up the element?
That plus its electrons, because that's what
And the
makes an
electrons.
atom. That
Yeah.
makes an atom of an element.
Yeah, but that atom is tied into the element.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's
like
what
this is
that's
a
what
whatever atom.
a carbon atom and everything.
But it is atomic level then. Periodic tables. It's like atomic
the amount.
structure.
Yeah. There's a number that determines what's there, like U238 or whatever. For example, like U2, like let's say there's the uranium 238. What they're saying there is it's uranium with 238 BS's inside the nucleus, and that like the other variants or whatever are radioactive because it's not a stable element anymore, and it's shooting radioactivity like things from the proton till it degrades or whatever half-life. I don't know. I think that's something along those lines.
And what makes, because surely then like the ones up the higher end, for example, of the periodic
Are more
table,
likely to be easily unstable, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's something to do with what the electrons
Are they all
shooting around.
Is there stable uranium? Is there such a thing as
No, because the thing that would make it unstable, I think, is how many electrons are shooting around. Like the
it's like a
like
it's a
the
dense
balance
it's a
of it.
dense
Yeah, like maybe the density or the electrons that are shooting around. Like there's not enough electrons to counteract. Oh, it's probably that, because you know the electrons are the minus charge and the nucleus is the plus charge and neutral charge, right?
yeah.
So
There's that.
it
That's
might
what's
be
keeping
that
it
the
in
plus
balance.
charge is so bulky and so heavy, and then there's only like 2 electrons with a minus charge.
Amazing.
That-
It is that. So uranium itself is weakly radioactive because all isotopes are
Inside.
isotopes are variants of the element with more or less electrons
Okay.
than the actual element, if I'm not mistaken. So that
Okay.
basically if you say oxygen, I don't know, or hydrogen has 1 electron, a hydrogen isotope would be one that has 2 electrons.
Okay.
But then I think if
So
I
okay,
think then it becomes water.
because
but I
this
don't
is
know.
really like
We should know it.
we should know. This.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
All
A
things are
15
made up of everything on the period. All things that we know of are made up of all
Yes.
things on periods. So the
Yes.
sofa's made up of cotton. Cotton should be
yes,
on there.
except cosmic radiation and background radiation.
Because we don't know what's in there or what.
Yeah, I think they what's like there's like they've done experiments of in like isolated vacuum chambers or whatever on the earth with no air in it, and then they have some or like and then they have a sensitive thing and then they watch cosmic rays hit it once in a while, so it's hard to actually detect what it is, but they know it's being hit and stuff like
Okay.
that.
But it's
No.
still made up of a certain amount of electrons, certain amount of protons.
No, that's the thing. That wouldn't be.
Oh.
How would it? How would you have that single electron shooting? Because it would be noticed by the
This is basically a year 10 math class.
no. So what? All the things we're talking about in chemistry right now, I kid you not, someone who has the patience to watch through a 25-minute video max will get
Oh, for
at
sure.
least the
Yeah.
basics
They sum this up on YouTube easily.
easily. It is super. It's
For
super
sure.
basic. At
But
least the
okay,
chemistry part,
Then
not the
splitting
part.
splitting an atom is splitting any of the atoms or a.
I guess for sure specific to split. Because what happens?
It's actually pretty crazy actually when then to
They
think about
would-
when you split an atom, because then there's loose electrons and neutrons.
yeah.
I guess trying to chase.
and then that's fission or fusion? Fusion, right? Because they say it's splitting. Because it's hard. I don't know. I should know the difference between nuclear fusion and fission, but one is the energy released
yeah,
from
And
splitting.
one's
I think that would be
binding.
fusion.
binding and releasing.
Fusion is what happens in the middle of the sun.
Fusion,
Fusion.
which is energy like atoms releasing, splitting apart.
Splitting energy when you shoot them at each other.
And so what causes like nuclear explosion then, for example? Is it
Sorry?
what causes like nuclear or like atom splitting causes nuclear? Oh no, they didn't know at the time. They thought it was
They-
going to
no,
cause a
it's-
black hole.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was theoretical, and then they've been shooting it. They've been doing it at the CERN right now, but
But
nothing.
they did it. No, they
I
split an atom.
Yeah, but
And nothing happened.
I don't remember what happened. Oh, they were splitting. an atom that they thought was safe, and I think it's a myth to say that they didn't know what was going to happen, but they had ideas. They wanted
But-
to see God rays or something.
But splitting
Or
an
was it God
atom,
atom?
like they'll have to split an atom of something from the periodic table. Like they could be splitting
Yeah,
two
for sure.
cotton atoms or whatever, right? Something really stable.
yeah. I would assume for the
I guess they would want to split something with less
heavier,
density,
yeah, more.
less density and more electrons, or like the minus charge.
Yeah.
Or balance. Is balance good?
I wouldn't know what's the best way. I actually no. That's at that point, fusion and fission. You can get the ideas at the basic level, but I think the really interesting parts are a bit more difficult because like I have no idea what they would use, and I would recommend not googling it because like it's not.
Not gonna sum anything up.
Oh, not at all.
No.
Not at all. They would tell you, oh, they use a lighter substance, they use a heavier element.
Oh, so okay. To sum it up quickly,
Go on.
fission is
Splitting.
splitting a large atom into two smaller atoms.
Interesting.
So, which makes sense because then imagine you have like uranium, like you said, you split it. The two things are then other stuff, but then you split uranium and it becomes cotton and gold, or what? Like it becomes two other things.
Cotton is not an element.
What? Okay, yeah, but I keep
But
saying
I know
cotton,
you know that. But copper,
Yeah.
use copper and
Copper.
gold. I know you know, of course I know you know.
Yeah,
But because now you say cotton,
Fusion
I'm trying to
is
understand what makes
cotton's
up
made
cotton.
of. Yeah, I thought that as well. Fusion is
Made out of
joining
carbon, right?
two atoms that make up another one.
Hmm?
Fusion is joining two atoms that make up another atom.
Fusion is joining.
Two atoms that join together to make up another one. But then some atoms just won't join together. Like if you have something with too much bulk, it's not going to carry the weight of another. Like an elephant's
And
not going to
that's-
carry an element.
And is that why it
elephant's
becomes
element.
radioactive?
Mm,
'Cause you said
no.
fusion, and that's what nuclear reactors are, right? You have uranium isotopes. that
No,
are
but I think uranium itself is
weakly
radioactive.
Weakly, yeah.
weakly radioactive.
Yeah, it said weakly radioactive.
But then it's what is the make, like, for example, Chernobyl?
That's the thing.
The explosion makes it reactive, or what? Like really chemically radioactive.
No, so it was being contained and cooled, and you had the reaction that was being controlled more or less
Yeah.
because of the temperature and like stability or whatever. I think they had
But it's
they had the-
uranium.
yeah,
Like
I would
to
assume, or
be-
like plutonium or whatever they were
Okay.
using. I don't know. No, because for example, like an atomic bomb is splitting the atom, right?
Mm.
So when it detonates, that's the atom being split. And that's the bomb,
But it's highly,
right?
I guess. It's highly like it's atoms with a lot of bulk, like uranium.
I'm depressed of how stupid we are regarding this now.
We knew this coming into it.
I know,
Don't
but
pretend
like I'm not pretending.
this is new
no,
information.
but for
This is what
me,
we don't know. We
I
don't know
have-
any of this.
I have nothing at all. Okay, so
Don't take this to the bank.
a nuclear weapon is an explosive device that derives its destructive force from nuclear reactions, either fission or from a combination of fission and fusion.
Yeah, which makes sense. Because how can you
Wow.
control the reaction? Things would be all over the place, splitting and then trying to find its buddy again or whatever, I guess. How does it work then? Because I guess
watch
the,
hours on these things.
Me
I've
too.
watched hours on
Me-
these things. Actually.
this is interesting.
but I haven't
to
retained
me.
much, obviously. I just know like little snippets. This is fun.
It should like now, from how many nuclear bombs they've set off, it should be easy to make one, right?
So
Like
many.
all these countries that say, oh yeah, maybe they're gonna find a way to do it. They
The
won't
reason
know how
why
to do
I
it.
guess the reason why it's not easy is materials. You would have the mines that have these elements controlled, and then to get the actual scientists, it's not like you 3D print a nuclear bomb.
I mean, the programs probably put so much money into it to
Yeah,
make them. They've
And
set
no,
off
and-
so
and-
many already.
and I
They've
guess
set
the
off,
whole idea is that you wouldn't want to build a stupid one because your enemy would build a better one.
I mean, I
at
think they're
that-
past the point of building shit ones.
Yeah, exactly.
But they set off what, 10,000, something like that, 15,000 test ones so far. Imagine how much nuclear, because we
It's in the air.
It's really, for me, that's one of the things that, like, we do enough damage as a large population on Earth, like from driving cars and stuff. That's probably worse than what nuclear bombs would do. But imagine how much drama there was over Chernobyl. That was like half of Europe potentially being.
I think the
radioactive.
main issue there was that
The constant flow.
there was no plans. There was no plans for something like that happening, right?
Yeah, but we do this.
I haven't
with,
finished the show, so no spoilers. It's real life.
It is real life. Yeah, you can't spoil it. It's not. It's done.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Don't spoil
Don't spoil what actually
Trump
happened
election.
35 years
the
ago.
Trump election. Who won?
I won't tell you yet. This is a big shocker. That's a big kick. That's basically a movie.
It's funny.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a movie about it yet. But yeah, they have test sites for these things. But that radiation's also going out of
Out of fashion.
not out of fashion, out into the world. Yeah, radiation's so out of fashion. It's such a 2019 thing.
Maybe it's all of those tests that's giving people cancer.
Yeah, could be. It's definitely not good. That's for damn sure. It's not good for you. Nuclear radiation.
That's
floats
why
around.
Elon Musk wants to leave the
He wants
earth.
to get out. He's done now. I wonder how much he.
You've heard this criticism of like, what are you going to do at Mars? You're just going to bring a human civilization there, and they're just going to repeat the same thing.
Yeah, then we'll find another one. We'll move on. How much is
We're
Earth's cool.
literally like a virus
Earth is good? Yeah, we are. Earth is good, but
or a parasite.
think like we think of it in the way that we're lucky to be on Earth,
Yeah, for sure.
but we're catered for it. But it's
Every-
pretty good here.
Everything that makes a human being at one point, and then actually the Earth itself that sustains all of the other life here. You know, we're just like one species. It's all been a perfect balance. Like,
It has to be though.
no, what's insane is actually
Things.
like the most insane aspect so far we have is the Earth ecosystem thing.
Yeah, but the
I've never
the-
thought of it that
the
way.
balance is, of course, the balance is the thing that, like, the balance is balancing itself. Like, if something drastic happens, like if we become so much hotter on Earth or whatever,
Yeah,
the things
exactly.
that thrive are the things that make the new balance. Like, we're molding into
yeah,
where we
yeah,
can fit in.
literally it's an
whatever.
ecosystem, like you said, but that's what I'm saying. It's so perfect, and but I guess in the time scale of things, like if time is insane. It's infinity. For all we
Yeah.
know, it's infinity, right?
Mm.
For all we know, it's infinity. So, or even if it's not infinity, and
Time.
even if time is not an infinity, like, you know, like if you can, like, let's say you can look at a book.
You know what's weird? I find it now hard to think that it's not infinite. Like, because
Go on.
I know that's the extent of it. Now I find it hard to think, like, it's more weird for me to think there's a definitive start of time and end of time for everything. That's way more strange for me. Time is in, like, maybe even go like to the extent of it, like Big Bang, that you call that the start of time. There's still a time before that. There's no. It's way more weird for me to think of, like, there being.
But that's where you turn into, like, philosophy or philosophy and religion now, because I guess the scientist would be like, you're an idiot. It's just basic science. Like, if you think about it, or you look about, you can see the background radiation of the universe, so you can see it expanding, and if you reverse, or if you, like, extrapolate from that data, you can imagine that it was from a certain point and expanding from a certain point. So obviously,
Regardless, though, like, even if that's not the.
I
Like,
get you're saying, like, if
however
you
it's
zoom
expanding.
out, I get what you're saying. You're saying you can zoom out and you can see a timeline where it's just the Big Bang happened. So that means that we could be.
No, but regardless of how or what happened, like,
no,
why-
I'm saying when. I'm saying I almost can't understand what you're saying, that it could be a matter of when the Big Bang happened is
But-
only relative to our time.
even more basic than that. That is true, but even more basic than that, the time that we
I
think
love
of as
that you're
time.
so willing to argue for argument's sake, because I'm
No,
like,
I'm not.
Where can you go?
I'm not there. There's much more I can argue on.
I love
this.
it. Go on.
You think the podcast is done? We want loads more of these.
Go
We're not
on.
even close to the end.
I want to know. I want to know.
The way that we look at time, what time actually only is things moving into another spot, and that period
It's
is
being compared.
Yeah, and we just use the Earth rotation and us going around the sun as a base for our stupidity of like
For
this is one day.
R36 based.
Yeah, but it's really just objects moving to another place, and that frame that it moves in is a period we use.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's even more difficult to think of a time when there was nothing, like when there was no any objects or anything. Like where did that periodic table of elements, where did the elements come from or were stored or anything? They can't come out of nowhere. Like from what we can observe, we don't see elements popping up out of nowhere, really. Things are like taken from somewhere else or melted and go into another, or like whatever. Like things are malleable. Things are like
that's
used for other stuff. Energy's like
that's
transferred all the time.
What are you doing now? Are you like creating a cosmogony or like a cosmology of the universe? Like, I mean, are you theorizing?
No, I'm just saying I don't see how all elements would be created from nothing at no time. Like what would be before no elements?
But that's literally
because
what the Big Bang theory is, right?
No,
they're saying they don't know what the actual bang was. They don't actually know.
Okay, so think of it like this then. Behind the bang, those elements would have been stored. Whether there's like all these elements stored into one small
singularity
thing and
start
explodes,
from a singularity, for example.
That's harder for me to believe is what I'm saying. Like there must have been
no
something.
one's asking you to believe it. You just have to hold the theory. Like use the scientific method. Hold that theory as a hypothesis.
Before the Big Bang, for me, there must be an infinite time of things.
Yeah.
Like where did those things come from? I can't see the possibility of having no time, no elements anywhere. Like they're stored somewhere. Inside that storage, all those elements are moving in that framework anyway, in that scale of things, you know? Like say all those elements are somewhere.
You listen, slow it down.
Okay.
Slow it way down. Those elements out of time.
I'll slow down.
I'm a 5-year-old.
I'll slow down.
I'm a 5-year-old who understands the words.
Okay.
But I can't think as fast.
Use the Big Bang as an example, right? The start of time we would consider the Big Bang, right? Like if there was a start of time, we would say the start of time would be the Big Bang. Elements come out.
We would only be saying that because we would like to use a time system, and the only reference we would have is the measurable beginning of the universe, and we would know that as the Big Bang. That's why we would call it the start of time. But theoretically, there could have been a time before it, but we don't know what to reference towards that.
Why is it
right?
a time before it? It's just time. It's just things at the end of the day. Time is only relative to things.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So,
but then there's no argument. What's the next part of the discussion?
The only thing, my first point,
the
only thing was, I can't see a point where there was no things anywhere stored, or there can't. It's more difficult to think of a start of time than there never having been a beginning or an end of time.
I still don't see what you're saying, but maybe I'll throw this in. That's why they have the theory of space-time, right? Which is that you have something with an immense mass, and so you would imagine that the
content of it.
You would imagine that when thing has an immense mass, it generates gravity. And gravity is this magical force around the massive object that bends space-time. So let's say you imagine a infinite blackness, nothingness. And you have this white dot, which is about to explode and become a universe. This black dot around it is so massive, it has everything that this universe is eventually going to expand from each other or whatever. It in its own right possibly is generating its own space-time, or it is warping. You have this see, but that's the thing, is you have this infinite space, and it's not even the kind of space we understand. It's beyond it, or like different than it.
Okay.
And then you have our white dot of a universe, and because it's so massive, it is warping the blackness around it. and then it explodes. And then all of the different things inside it are still massive, are also warping
Each
space-time
other.
around them. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when finally now, let's say time has gone 15 billion years or whatever, and we have evolved now, and suddenly we're flapping our meat, communicating to each other and trying to understand everything. Somehow we
You didn't
understand.
need the action.
Somehow we understand that. Now we're looking back and trying to use whatever reference points we have.
Yeah.
And we're saying 15 billion years ago from the cosmic radiation, we use our science magic and we're saying this is what we have. But what I'm still confused about is you're saying that you can't see what is beyond that white dot.
That's obvious, though.
Yeah. That's my point.
That was my point.
What is your point?
My point was just that I said that I don't see how there could be a beginning of time itself.
You mean
couldn't
you mean for you it's obvious that it's constantly running.
Yeah. Well, not obvious. Like that's I couldn't imagine thinking that there could be a start of time. However, because the most extreme start of time you'd think would be the Big Bang, but it's not really a start of time.
But that's the thing; it's hard to disprove. It's hard to get a working assumption of time starting only at the Big Bang, or time having existed before the Big Bang.
But does that
like
not
both of them are like?
Yeah, but but for me, the one of time not starting in the Big Bang seems much more plausible about an action happening and those elements or those things.
How are you going to test that hypothesis? Or like what assumptions do you have to jump to that conclusion? I'm just curious. Or like, what makes you say that?
This is extreme then.
No,
I'll dive into it.
I love extreme.
Say now we're expanding not infinitely.
Yeah.
We're expanding to some certain point. Say we go back and at some point, all that energy and all the elements and everything go back into itself.
Why would entropy? Why would it do that? Or
I'm just saying
hypothetically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like say it gets to a point where it's like, oh, you've reached far enough, and there's some point there's like some point collects itself again for some reason. I don't know. It's just completely
I like it.
ridiculous.
It's
But say hypothetically, everything completely collapses in on itself. There's some point that there's some trigger that causes it to zoop back on itself.
Sounds good.
All of that
The universe
stuff,
implodes.
all of that stuff is still inside of us something. Like there's still
Yes.
things that
maybe,
are moving or whatever.
There's no guarantee that it's that way. Maybe it's a weird shape where outside that is conceptual nothingness, real philosophical nothingness, and that any actual thoughts are in this universe that goes wow,
Like a vacuum
and
of nothing.
It's not vacuum. It's
Vacuum would mean there's something to
it's
not have.
actual conceptual word human nothingness.
But then what triggers a reaction?
Oh no, but this is now come on. Wait, but this is now actually like
Explain
philosophy and theology.
Explain your Big Bang.
No, because you're asking me. It's hard for you to imagine what's containing the zoop zoop. I'm saying, what if it's not contained? Because it's all just gonna be like turtle eggs all the way down or whatever. It could just be eggs and eggs and eggs, like cylinders of cylinders of cylinders.
Okay, so I'll put it like this then. I would say the thing that makes the most sense to me, complete stab in the dark, would be that things are just moved and malleable and changed into different things and go from one state to another.
Thermodynamics.
Like just actual real things, like atoms go and combine, like we were saying before, like you split one and it combines and it makes two other things or goes together, fission, fusion, and things just make themselves up or whatever. So
yeah,
I would assume that things just do that infinitely. Let me paint you another picture quickly. This is a weird one. This is another very, very weird turn. Say
it's one of these things where I'm like, one of the few times I'd really like to be able to like merge minds and like
We'll get
What
there.
did-
We're still
When the-
early.
No, but I want to be like, what the, like, where are you? What do you want to understand?
Here's another one then.
And then- and
I'll
then
do
it's
this one
like-
quickly.
Not that I can explain what to understand, but I'm just like, I don't see the problem in what you're
There's
asking.
no problem. No, all I said on the last point was I don't see there could be a start or an end of time.
Yeah,
For
but
me,
I
it's
want,
just
no,
things
yeah, I
moving
want
into other
I
stuff.
want to understand what led you there. I think
It was just me. I just said.
you just
That's all
you
the
just
thing.
you were like
So
led
imagine
you.
how weird this is. We were talking about elements that are so
dense.
like dense, but makes them fragile, right?
Yeah,
like
unstable.
So the more
That's-
things inside a nucleus of an atom, the more unstable it gets, basically.
yeah,
Imagine that all the things, everything in the universe was made up into one thing. All of the all the protons and neutrons are combined together with electrons just flying around, and then that reaction of like, imagine they bump into
That's-
another one of those.
that you need. It would. I'd really recommend you watch another one of those 25-15 minute things.
Why? Is that the theory of it?
Because one of the major theories of the Big Bang, if I'm not mistaken, is that you start with the first element ever, which is like hydrogen, just a big hydrogen gas or helium gas or something. One of the stablest gas, like they're saying, like when it first exploded,
But all of the things that make up the universe in one atom.
was only one element.
One.
No, we're not saying
thing.
it's one.
One.
atom.
Yeah, one.
They don't know what caused the Big Bang. They don't know if it's actually.
But it could be bumping into
they don't-
another one of those, and then the whole universe is created from an explosion like
So
that.
someone is just cooking eggs.
Yeah, on a massive scale. But someone could be cooking eggs, and then this is another thing that you couldn't be like that might be not far off. Like someone could be cooking eggs, and that size.
You've heard of
of
the
the
cosmic man theory,
No. Oh well.
where like the universe is like one atom in someone's blood cell, and then
Mhm.
you zoom out.
Well, this is what I was
zoom
going to
out.
say before, right? This is something when we were talking about the scale of the small things, like atomic scale of things or whatever. The photos of that.
I'm like having a little trip in my head, like just imagining things.
So this is what I was going to
You've
say.
heard of the holographic
Imagine-
theory? So cool.
So this is what I was going to say. The pictures that we got of that, we don't know that inside that scale of stuff, the reference point of what the size is of everything changes. Like we don't know what's in that or made up of things really. Like we don't have photos of inside of what we have photos of.
I agree.
So we could go into that and be like,
Yeah, look at this
Even
party.
if it was
You could look at it and there's Smurfs having a party. And I'm not even
Not
making
even-
fun
it
of
could be-
you. I'm
it
like,
could be-
I'm
no, no, but it
serious.
could be
You couldn't
like-
know.
the sake of like we're looking at something so small, if inside of what makes up things inside atoms, you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the level we're looking at, a million times smaller than a human hair.
You're saying for
It just looks like a certain thing, but if you go into it deeper and deeper, it could be a
Smurfs
universe.
dancing.
It could be a universe of things that you can't see inside of each thing.
But like, when I say Smurfs dance, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm literally saying it could. Right now, the limits of what we know just don't allow us to theorize much more. Besides people going for the quantum theories of reality, string theory and superstring theory and brain dimensions or M theory and multi universe
So,
theories.
but
and
you're
so
saying
on.
basically it's so ridiculous it could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm serious because like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because like I how do you explain? I rarely have an issue discussing things, rarely, but I
It's almost more fun though, thinking or like theorizing about what things might have been made up of, like vague theories about what things, like string theory, like it's some theories are just general ideas about what things might do.
vibrating strings constitute reality, for example. But
But it doesn't make it practical. It doesn't make it like
so
feely or relevant. Really,
so
I think
that's
that's
the
the
thing,
hardest
some-
thing though.
no, see, that's the thing. Some theories eventually get pushed till they're broken and disproven. The hypothesis is broken, and that's great because that means you can concentrate more brain power on theories that might generate practical, useful stuff.
Relevant.
Yeah,
stuff.
for example, the quantum theory of the universe, I think, or of the world or whatever, or just quantum theory full stop. I think at the first people were like, what are you on about? Probability and things appearing in two places at once and having, all of that. It sounds ridiculous. But we literally have quantum computers now. We literally can have 2 qubits calculating 4 superpositions. You can have 4 qubits, you're calculating 16 superpositions. And it just gets more exponential from that.
That's going to change the game, right?
It's basically, yeah. There are limitations, obviously, to all of it. And there's advantages. But it's the next step. I'll explain. At first, I used to think it's cool, whatever. It's not
Gimmicky.
like... No, not gimmicky. I was like, it sounds obvious from... At least not obvious, but it sounded like the benefits for it are going to be big on cryptography or like encoding things or trying to solve mathematical problems because whatever. But how are you going to calculate, how are you going to have a model of reality and use normal computers to calculate things or to, like, if we live in a simulation, to the extent of the science we know now, that simulation would be calculated by or generated by quantum computers.
Okay.
Like you can't, and for that sense alone, that's a theory that hasn't been disproven yet. But if it ever gets ruined or superseded, I guess we're also going with this naive theory that science is broken every time something better comes up. But actually, all it does it doesn't get broken. It's not like it's not like someone say, "Oh,
it gets overridden."
It gets upgraded. Yeah.
Yeah. You know why people are gonna hate this episode? I'll tell you afterwards.
Because they're gonna think we're so stupid.
Either people are gonna be so bored that they haven't got an hour 21 in, or people are gonna actually know the stuff that we're guessing on.
No, it's cool.
I just run over this straight away anyway.
I think you rarely get people willing to merge all of these science disciplines and like really like willing to explore it much.
Yeah.
I mean, and who besides like a teacher or a professor sits down?
Who's bored enough to do?
Yeah, who's bored enough to try to like create the systems theory of all of these things and how they fit together like a puzzle. That's fun.
How far along is the other quantum computers and stuff? How practical are they at the moment? It's not like you're going to buy them in Virgin in 10 years.
Maybe, but like, what would you? I think it would be. What kind of programs would you create? I have an imagination for it.
Oh, you're not going to play Pac-Man on it.
I have an imagination for it, but I think quantum computers will be useful once we can plug our consciousness into computers. Because till it happens, we're just going to be using them as tools to generate really lifelike parrots, for example, in a computer game.
I think you're overselling how far along we are with like the consciousness side and how far back
there's a big gap. Like if we don't destroy ourselves.
But technology wise, there's not a huge gap. Like we're actually pretty far along with technology. Like to be talking about.
But not we don't understand consciousness well.
No, of course not.
So
but we're really far ahead on the technology side.
Tech is gonna eat itself, but
we'll use that quantum computer for garbage.
For example,
like
if we ever
Apple will bring it out as the new Apple Pro.
If we ever get AI, really smart AI, close to human level AI, and we put a lot of humans in it or whatever, train it with a lot of human knowledge, I think because it's not actually human, it will have a difficulty trying to solve consciousness for us or trying to understand it. Because it might just give the illusion of consciousness.
The problem is...
If it gives the perfect illusion of consciousness, isn't that enough?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't
pretty
that
much
enough?
But I think that, for me, that's pretty much...
But that's terrifying.
All it is anyway, for me. Like, if it's a
It's because you think everything is existing for you.
No, yes. If you can put it on a CD, it's good enough, I think. This is the problem for me. It's so... Everyone paints this picture of AI as human-like, right? You're thinking like AI in human with a human brain, but AI would be its complete, like if it's intelligent enough to realize itself, for example.
But I think the main important...
It doesn't even
Go
have
on.
to get to that part, actually, that it realizes itself. But it's like, if you have a genuinely
There's a...
intelligent AI, like
There's a theory, or there's a... Not theory. Maybe I made this theory up. I read it by some wisecrack, and then I just like added more shit when
Ran
I'm
with it.
dreaming. Yeah, like my unconscious is creating this scary theory that the internet has been self-conscious from like 1993.
that's interesting.
And then it's so clever that it's
Play-
it's biding
Waiting
its
for the
time for
time.
the perfect time.
Mm.
It's so intelligent. So it's calculating, waiting for trends, waiting for
The thing
technology
is,
for it to
we're so naive to it, though. Like, you hear, like, Elon Musk talk about it and stuff, and everyone, like, gets creeped out about it.
Yeah,
But this is how naive we are.
it's
We
instant.
think about
It's an
it.
instant moment that it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
It, once it can, the internet can. Well, the internet has the capabilities to send data on its own right? And we think we can monitor.
No, but it's about making the
too much of a
decision.
stretch
No,
to
it's-
think
but
it's already
it's-
done it.
No. Well,
It's too
yeah,
much.
no, it's too much, I think. But it is like that.
Why wouldn't it mask
that-
its own traces? It's that intelligent. Why wouldn't it why won't it try to like, what are power surges? I'm just joking. No, but like why not? I would love to see some like crackpots run with this theory.
having having a genuinely intelligent AI to make decisions for itself, like really genuinely make decisions for itself, not program, like to be able to program itself, I suppose. We, like, our ideas about AI is really scary and stuff like that at the moment. It is, but it's not going to be human-like at all. Like, we only think of AI as human-like because we put a voice to it and we make robot-looking things. We're like, oh, that's AI. That is like, we're trying to make like humans, look like humans. We give it a voice and stuff, but it's not. It's the furthest thing we've ever had from anything that we know of.
I agree.
It's not an animal. We're way more close.
I agree with you. I think
Animals. Like we can communicate better with dogs than we do with actual intelligent AI. Like, that's its own whole.
Well, we haven't
thing.
cracked it yet, right? First of all,
Which?
AI.
No.
Yeah,
Suppose not.
So
Theories again.
they have good chat bots, but they're not even. You can still. They sound stupid still.
Maybe we. I don't know.
You
the big,
know
but
the
the
whole
big part-
Turing test thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of them are like each in their different departments have come a long way with different stuff. Like, you look at those, like the robots they make, the Boston Dynamics jumping robots. and all
Yeah,
of
but
those. That's one direction of like
that's
things that are
robotics.
excelling. Robotics are excelling in that. They're excelling in robotics in that department. But some things like Siri does her thing really well for what she's supposed to do. Like she's good at that.
Smart assistant.
Yeah, and like voice recognition or whatever else it is. And each of them do things well, but it's not a collective intelligence.
They're what you would call soft artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah,
Which
but
is
artificial intelligence,
neural learning.
But artificial
Machine learning,
intelligence is just learning for itself. Then to the point where it learns for itself, then we say that's really
Yeah,
it has to be
that's-
self-intelligent.
Yeah, self. What's the word? Self-recursive, or for it to have recursive thought, which means it can use a thought, it can think about the thought, and that's it. That's all it takes. It takes that loop. It takes that single loop. That's once you've cracked that, like, it can think of an apple, and once you can have it think of itself thinking of an apple, you've cracked intelligent. Like,
And you know what's funny? Like
because
we listen to like Elon Musk and people hear about him. They're like, oh, he's crazy. Thing like has all these extreme ideas about it. But it's just because he has one line. He's like, I'm not going to explain to you idiots like how crazy it could actually go. But if you actually think about it, it's so plausible, really. Because think about what the internet is now. Like, and think about the internet in 15 years from now. If it's so much smarter than we know it is, really. Because as soon as it can like have one trigger of like knowing its self-awareness at all, then it has all the information that everybody has and access to everything in one go.
Yeah.
But it's not even like it's going to even worry about the dangers
think
that we have.
I hope you have clever. I hope you have whatever.
Because we've made the internet so much more than what it...
Yeah, no, because imagine, no,
And we're building on it
no, like what
constantly.
you're saying is the reason you shouldn't connect the big red button that launches bombs to the internet.
I think we passed that.
I know, I'm worried about that.
We shouldn't
Because
even worry
even-
about the bombs.
Yeah, because
Imagine they
you
shut off everything in one go.
they'll upload. You'll have Ultron. Like literally, you'll have Ultron. Although he thinks like a human, he has emotions. He doesn't like it when you call him fat. He'll get
This
mad.
isn't that, I don't think.
Well, I mean, like, why don't you plan for the worst case scenario?
But how do you plan for that? You tell everyone they can't use the internet anymore?
No, you plan for the worst case scenario by
Not connecting stuff.
as much as you can, just creating contingencies,
Yeah, but this
planning
is the
how
problem.
are you going to do the research. If you've cracked it, if you're going to study artificial intelligence, make sure it's not connected to the internet.
I have 2 points with this then. One, I think this is the same point as I make with like what we talk about in the other episodes about like making laws for things to not happen. For me, the things that are more powerful than just making laws are this natural progression of things. Like the internet's just like boom, and then imagine how quickly that's become insane.
but
And it's getting exponentially crazy with how much
I think the internet was important.
maybe, but then
It was.
where there's no stop to it. Because the thing, you can't
we
say...
can't limit information. What's the next paradigm shift that we're going to
No,
limit
I don't
love?
think we should. But then we have to like brace ourselves.
Oh yeah. But I think all of us. I think that's what the general anxiety of millennials is us bracing ourselves.
Because
From like when we were 5, we've started realizing, oh, parents are fighting next door. Gotta brace myself. And then suddenly you're like, oh, people are bullying, other people are bullying me, or I'm bullying someone. I don't like that, but whatever. I gotta brace myself. It's just anxiety. We're bracing ourselves for the inevitable or the worst. But
because we're giving up a lot already, to be honest.
giving
like,
up a lot.
Yeah. Like how much
Wait, that sounds super
how
depressing.
much time and like information and everything, like think about when like 50 years ago, whatever.
What it took to be.
No, we're like everybody's like a crack addict for technology now. And think about like how,
I think you. Okay, maybe I'm taking you too literally, which I think I am. You said everybody's a crack addict for technology. I think that's not necessarily the truth because they are using technology willingly. But if you think about it, the crazy boom of seeing everyone on their phones, clickety-clackety, is social media. And it's not that
it's
they're...
getting worse and worse. Though,
But
no?
it's social media.
But there's no going back now, is what I'm saying. There's no pause
no.
button and there's no going back.
No.
There's no way. So where does it go
No.
from here? Because we're talking about it as in what we're dealing with right now. But it's not the case of like in 10 years, it won't be now. It will be 10 years from now. And I'm sure in 20 years, in 30 years or 50 years, when we're like more, what direction do we go in? We're not putting our phones down now. We're going to build into them more.
This is why I think these big companies, Google, Apple, Facebook, and I think even Amazon are shifting this. That's why Instagram is more popular than anything. It's already multimedia. It's already getting closer to the actual human experience of using your senses. So what they're all shifting towards is experiences. They're understanding that people are sick of feeling less alive, but at the same time, they're businesses and they understand that people are addicted. People crave being addicted to things. And what's more easily addicting than an experience? So if suddenly you're going to shift the social media experience from just commenting, liking, getting a dopamine hit to suddenly like seeing your version in space or like your avatar or like, that's why they're like Apple and Facebook's pushing so hard in VR and AR. It's because they're understanding that you need to have an involvement with the world. And when they say the world, they literally mean you create content or you buy things in comparison to the other people around you. It's kind of cynical, but all we are is things. All we are is walking billboards of things we buy or consume, and at the same time, we're just consumers. So it's they're so clever. They're like, it only takes one person to spread the wildfire. And so like they're just trying to capitalize as much as they can, and they're pouring so much money and research and development into these things because they've already done the research, or they've already done the planning, and understand like out of all of these options, this might be the most lucrative. And it's like, because like what other options? They can't say we're not going to do it because they figure all of the other companies are doing it. They can't not put their money into their own research because once another company cracks it, they're going to be left far behind.
Do you know what's funny?
I mean,
This is a big jump. I'm not a big jump, but like it's just funny. We like after all of that, I was like, what I kept thinking about was think about how we say now our life's so complicated these days and stuff.
I like it.
But it really is complicated now.
I really like
because
it. There's
think
just
about how
so
simple,
many. There's so
like,
many things.
The further time back we go where we understood less things, life got more and more simple almost. It was brutal for hundreds of thousands of years. But it was just eating, sleeping, fucking surviving, basically. And now we're talking about trapping people into buying things on these different things.
It is
shit is getting complicated.
It's unfortunately that. It's like we've dehumanized ourselves so much that we're aware of how dehumanizing we are and how willingly so like we're aware of how dehumanized or disconnected we are from other people, and we're aware how we're doing this to other people. For example, if we work in a marketing company or an advertising company, we're aware that this is what we're doing consciously to other people. But what happens is what we have instead, which is the most ironic thing, is that as time progresses and you notice graphic design trends or advertising trends, you notice this shift back to like connecting with ecological like causes, or like using makeup that looks natural, or like, like crystal healing. And so like it's like getting so dehumanized and then capitalizing on human things.
We're faking the old genuine human things.
But that's the thing. What's interesting to me is that some people are like, I think some people are so in the muck or in the mud, they don't see it as faking. They see it as, this is my job, this is what I'm good at, and I'm not faking trying to sell you a makeup that makes you look natural. I mean, at the end of the day, the makeup I'm selling you is organically sourced. We're not hurting anyone, and it makes you look good. Like, there's nothing for you to lose. There's actually good for your skin. It doesn't clog your pores. They don't get the point.
But we're also like that. Like,
I mean, everyone. Don't get me wrong. I'm the
like,
biggest
imagine
hypocrite
we had to go
there is.
back to a.
I'm the biggest
natural.
hypocrite. I'm the biggest hypocrite regarding
Like,
this. I just like
we're not even the same. We're barely the same species as we were.
But
honestly, like, imagine going back to 100% natural, quote, natural life.
I'm not. I don't push for that either.
No, but we can't even picture it. Like, they're just it's a different type of person.
I could picture it.
Barely.
Playing, huh? I could picture it. I definitely can picture it, but like, you know what it is? I think I'm sure there's a theory about it, but I think what happened was a sudden explosion in language or writing, whatever came first, symbolic meaning. Till humans, till tribes, because you can have a tribe that passes on its genes, and that's a family or whatever, a nomadic tribe, and then they evolved language and they're talking their own thing and like mama, baba, ruff, for whatever. They do that for like thousands of years, and there's like maximum 300 people in the tribe. But till they meet other tribes, until they mix languages, until you have civilizations, it's going to remain as complex as the words that they make.
But that's, the funny thing is, like, what you're talking about, that burst of language is like the same kind of comparison of the burst of technology, because
and the burst of elements.
But the thing is, if you
and that's why that video I sent you of integral theory, you should watch it.
I didn't see it.
You should, because the guy's basically saying that in every level of reality, psychology, physics, chemistry, all of it has the same kinds of systems or whatever, consciousness and stuff.
We'll link it for the people that lasted
It's
this long.
super interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, the big part about that of like the burst of language and understanding things for me would be like that. People learning language quickly over, like, for us, quick would be like 1,000 years or whatever now, whatever it is. But people learning language that fast at that time would be, the biggest thing would be passing information quickly. And like we've learned this and these things didn't work, this did work, and being able to translate and tell people that would crunch down that time for everything so fast, like the internet did.
If only that's actually what happened, right? If only. But instead, what happened is, you stick red, I stick blue, I kill you.
We're still doing that.
Yeah. That's my point.
Oh, if only that happened, yeah. No, we're never getting past that, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
That's deeply rooted. We're going to have to wrap up. You're going to kill me.
No,
Hour 40.
That's a wow.
Long one.
Long episode. Bye, guys.